Hi guys! Today I'm going to be showing you how I crochet my teeny tiny candy corn. This is a free pattern that I wrote last year, and I'm going to show you everything that you need to make it. I like to turn mine into keychains, which is super fun. You obviously don't have to make yours a keychain. It can just be a little tiny plushie if you want, but I think it's fun to have the keychain and then you can like clip it on your bag. This pattern works up super fast. It is great for market prepping because you can make so many super quickly. So I'll go ahead and show you everything that you need to make it. So the main thing that you'll need is your yarn. You need yarn in white, yellow, and orange. So it doesn't really matter what size of yarn you use as long as all of them are about the same size so that they work together. I use Bernat baby blanket and Bernat blanket and they work together pretty well. I made this pattern because I had seen quite a few keychain patterns that were made to make with a smaller yarn, and then whenever I would make the keychain with Bernat blanket, it would end up too big to be a keychain. So I wanted to make this one where even though you use blanket yarn, it still ends up as a keychain. So pretty much any size yarn you use with this will end up as a keychain. And then you will need a crochet hook that corresponds with the size of yarn that you have, and then also a stitch marker, and then you'll need just a little bit of stuffing. So I've got my Polyfil. You don't need much of it for this project, but you do need a little bit. And then if you want to add eyes to it, you can add eyes either with safety eyes or embroidering eyes. Some of my pattern testers did that and it turned out super cute. And then if you want to turn yours into a keychain, I will link some options in the description. I have these little metal keychains, and then those ones are just silver, and then I also have these ones which come in all different colors. So sometimes I use the colored one, sometimes I use the silver one. You can also get either the keychains that have the little jump ring on them, but then you have to close the jump ring, and I don't really like doing that, so I don't use those very much. I usually use these ones, which I got on Amazon as well, and I'll have everything linked in the description. But these ones are just a lot easier to attach than the other ones. And that is everything that you need to make your teeny tiny candy corn. So I'll go ahead and get into the tutorial. I do think that I forgot to mention, but you will need a yarn needle. So we're going to start with white yarn. So I'm just going to unwind a little bit of it. Then we're going to start by making the magic ring. And we're going to make 4 single crochet into the magic ring. 2, 3, and 4, and then we'll go ahead and pull that string to close it. Now you can just go into the next stitch if you want, but what I like to do is pull this string back before I work into that next stitch. And for round 2, we're just going to increase into each stitch, which means 2 single crochet into each. So there's 2. I'm going to put the stitch marker in the first stitch of the round. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, for that last stitch, we actually don't need to finish it because we are going to change to orange. Okay, now I've got my orange. Going to leave a little bit of a tail so that we can tie the ends together. So I just finished off that last stitch of the last round, and then for the third round we're just going to single crochet into each stitch. So I'll make the first one, put my stitch marker, and then I'll tie these ends together. I usually just tie them 2 or 3 times. And because these ends are going to be on the inside of the plushie, you don't have to weave them in. If you want to, you can, but I don't. I just leave them there because it'll just act as more stuffing. Then you can cut the white. We're done with the white. Alright, so we're just going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So for the next round, we're going to do single crochet and then increase. So we'll single crochet into the first stitch, put the stitch marker, increase in the next, single, increase into the next, single, increase, single, and then you should end on an increase. But you don't have to finish that last stitch because we are going to change to the yellow now. Okay, same thing, just leave a little bit of the yellow to tie off with and pull that through. So that's just finishing the last stitch of that round. And then we'll be working with the yellow. So for this round, we're just going to single crochet around. So there's the first one. Then I'm going to go ahead and tie these ends together. And then you can cut the orange. We're done with the orange. All right. So we're just going to single crochet into each stitch. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. For the next round, we're going to do 2 single crochet and then an increase. So there's 1, 2, and then increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, and increase, 1, 2, and increase. And we are almost done. So for this next row, we're going to be working into the back loops only. So if you don't know, this is the front loop. You usually go through both, but in this part, we're just going to go through the back loop only, like that. So for this, we're going to do a single crochet in the back loop only, put our stitch marker, and then a decrease, and the whole round is worked into the back loop only. So single, decrease, single, decrease, single, decrease, single, decrease, and then you should end with one more and just do a single crochet in that last stitch. Now if you are making this with smaller yarn like worsted weight yarn, you'll probably want to stuff it now. I will usually just wait until I'm fully done to stuff it, but if you want, you can go ahead and stuff it now. And we are on to the last row. So for the last row, we're going to make 5 decreases, and we're back to working into both loops. If you want, you can do invisible decreases. I usually don't. It's up to you. So there's 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you should have 1 stitch left, and we just leave that one there, or you can slip stitch into that one if you want. And then I'm going to fasten off, leave a little bit of a tail, probably that long, pull that to fasten off, and now we just need to stuff it and it'll be done. So when you're stuffing, you don't want to stuff it too full because you want the bottom of this to end kind of flat. It's okay if it's a little rounded, but it should be pretty flat like that. So if you overstuff it, it might just look like round on the end, but just take a little bit out so it can end pretty flat. So like I said, this doesn't take a ton of stuffing because it is a super small project. So just need a little bit. If you want to put eyes, you'll want to put the eyes before you stuff it. I don't usually put eyes in mine, but it does look cute if you do. I've seen a few people do that. Okay. That is pretty good. Now we just need to sew this closed. So you'll put your yarn on the needle, and then to sew it closed, I go through the front loops only. So I go in one, out the next, in one, out the next, in one, and out the last one. Should be 6 stitches to go through, and then you just pull that to close, and then I just see where this is gonna lay flat, I think right here, and I'll just have it come out anywhere. Pull that snug, and then the reason that I pulled this string out in the beginning is just so that I have something to tie the other string to. So if you didn't do this, then you'll just weave in your ends. If you did do this, then I'll show you how I do it. If you have this bump, sometimes when I make the magic ring, I end up with a little bump. You can go through it. If you don't have the bump, just skip that part. I just go through and come out at the same spot as the other string, and then I just tie those together. I like to do that just because I feel like it is more secure than just like weaving the ends in. Having them actually tied together, I feel like it's not going to come apart as easily. So once you tie them together, you'll just put the ends on your needle, and we're just going to go back through the same stitch that we came through out to the other side and pull it. Make sure the knot goes through, and then if you didn't tie yours, you'll probably want to weave it through a few stitches, like just go over one stitch. But since I tied it, I feel like it is definitely secure, so I'm just going to stuff mine in. You can also cut the excess yarn if you want, but I usually will just put it in there. It just acts as a little bit of extra stuffing in there. Alright, there we go. And if it's a little round at the bottom, you can just push it like that to make sure it ends pretty flat. So there is the candy corn. Now if you're just doing a plushie, then you're done with it. If you are wanting to make it a keychain, sorry, there's like a speck of fabric in there. If you're wanting to make it into a keychain, then I will show you how I do that. So like I said, I will have links to these keychains in the description. So if you want to get the same ones that I use, you can. I'm probably going to use, see if this yellow matches. Not really. It's too neon. So I don't think I have any white ones left. Let's see. Maybe I'll use gray. I think that'll look good. And let's see if this yellow doesn't really match. I'll probably use white, gray and white. That'll work. Okay, so your chain should have this end that will connect it on one end, and so we're going to take the other end and put it through the clasp. And then I've tried using the needle for this, and I think that the hook works better. But if you're having trouble with a hook, then you can try the needle. So I just go through the first row, in one side of the first row and out the other side of the first row. And then I will put this on to my hook, and sorry, it's kind of hard to show it, and then pull through. And just make sure you're holding onto the other side, because sometimes it'll try to pull both sides through. And sometimes a little bit of the polyfill will stick out. If it is, just pull that out so that it's not sticking out like that. And then you'll just take this ball and put it into, sorry, it's hard to show it, put it into that little spot and push it down. There we go. Should snap into place, and there's our keychain. So it is a super quick, easy project to make for fall, and it's great for fall markets. They do sell fairly well for me. I think I've only done them as keychains, but I'm thinking this year I might have some just as like a pocket plushie that don't have a keychain as well. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and I would love to see the candy corn that you made. So if you post it on Instagram, make sure to tag me. I'm also on TikTok and sometimes on Facebook, so if you tag me on those, I'll see that as well. If you do share it on Instagram, I might share it to my story, and sometimes I share it to my highlight, where I just have a bunch of pictures of items that you guys made using my patterns. I love seeing what you guys make with my patterns, so I would love to see that. And if you have any questions at all, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can. Thanks for watching, guys.